Welcome, Nick. I'm super excited to have you on the podcast today. You've been driving the development and direction of events for quite a while now. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about your background?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. I've had the opportunity to work in events since the, late 90s in a variety of different roles, including hospitalities and venue, sales and marketing, and everywhere from the events that take place at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to events outdoors for festivals and such in Pittsburgh. And then for the last 4 years, I've been in Minnesota, but I've worked in production, event entertainment, a lot in event technology, which is where I find myself for the last about 4 years in a company that works in the vision AI space, in the event space. And I have been presenting at conferences since about 2005. So I do that nearly once a week at different
Wow.
conferences, which is a lot. And consequently, I go to a lot of events late and leave early. So I can make things and still have a family. So unfortunately, all the cool stuff at your events, all of the zip lining and excursions, I miss those. I come in, I do the presentation, I'm back at the hotel or airport, and if I looked at it this way, if I have 60 trips a year, which I easily do, and I add one more day to each one of those, that's 2 more months away from my family. So I get in and I get out. I see beautiful places if there is an Uber drive that has one.
That includes it on its way to the airport.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, swing by the, yeah.
I've done similar things. I'm like, I'm not in a hurry. So if but I'm like, they are. So I guess it doesn't really work.
Yes.
But yeah, I was saying before the show started, I had a beautiful view. Even in March, I was in Costa Rica and I was there for 36 hours, 3 of which were in customs for a 3-hour unair conditioned space. So I just try to share with the world that travel is about 80% less glamorous than it may appear.
Right. It can get that way.
Yeah. There's perks for sure. The food is good. So if I'm going to have a meal somewhere, I'm going to get a really nice restaurant
Yes.
as opposed to, eating mac and cheese with my kids. But not knowing where, the layout of the hotel room every day, or taking a picture of my key card number every time so I remember the number so I don't get it confused with yesterday's. There's tricks along the way.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah.
Hey, so you also did a podcast for a while, right?
Yeah, I've had a couple actually. I had one with a friend of mine, Will Curran, and a woman named Tui, and then we had Dustin Westling, where we were all from different parts of the world, and that was sort of the view for events. Where instead of doing interviews, we did a sort of the news and big elements. We had one episode which was a debate of, is the events industry even an industry? Esoteric stuff like that, down to we did it during the COVID era, so there was a lot to talk about as far as existential dread for a little bit of time. So yeah, we just kind of went with where things were. I've had a podcast. I did a podcast, just to tell you, you can guess the years very easily. That was around the metaverse.
Fun.
So it was like an episode or like a podcast about pogs or pet rocks or something. So things that were genial to a very specific period in time. And then I was a panelist for about a year and a half on a show called Production Value Matters, where we talked a lot about event production as well. So yeah, as I like to talk, I think that's been proven.
Yeah, I can remember when conferences got opened with, hey, next year we're going to have this in the metaverse.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, one more thing I have to learn about or whatever. I remember a lot of presentations around that time saying, if you're in, design of events, you need to think like a broadcaster now. And it's like, did anyone get into this to think like a broadcaster? I mean, if you do that stuff too, great, but telling a whole industry that they have to rediscipline was a big ask for a temporary period of time. Turns out immediately with the gates sort of coming up again, people ran away from all of the stuff that they did
Yeah.
there and never looked back. So,
Right.
I mean, to everyone who's still peddling virtual events platforms, good luck. That's a tough gig. The
Mhm.
TAM is like 1% of what it was before. At least you don't have to worry about as many competitors.
Right. Yeah. Hey, so I'm dying to hear about, is it Zenus or?
You got it right on one. Yep.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, I've consultancy for a number of years, and I picked them up as a consulting client and saw the direction. I was like, "Oh man, I got to be a part of this." So I took a position in the organization, and it turns out my skill set of event industry education was very valuable in selling ethical facial analysis for attendee behavioral insights, which doesn't roll off your tongue,
Wow.
doesn't fit on a banner ad. Pay per click is a tricky. So selling sort of through education became a requisite,
Mm.
which made at least gave me something to do. And I got really excited about it because I believe in the value of what we do to a very high degree. I try to be as agnostic as possible, but to be honest, I'm a cheerleader, and the challenge is proving it, right? So digital marketing, I don't know if it moves the needle. It certainly doesn't move me, and I never
Mm.
said, boy, that banner ad, it really changed the way I look at life, but I've said similar things in gatherings. So it moves you,
Yes.
but prove it, right? And I can prove it in a pay-per-click ad. I can prove it in Google Analytics. You're not proving nothing that's super exciting, but I can prove all of it. And in events, it's like, you know what? This event had a great vibe. It felt good.
Mhm.
They really liked us. It says something to be there. It says something if you're not there. These are nothing statements,
Yeah.
really. They don't go in Excel. A CFO is scratching their head. So
Yeah,
what
there's
Zenus
no
does,
ROI on those statements.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. It tries to bridge that gap, so at least we know, what we did had some sort of, empirical uh, impact. So the technology is called facial analysis. The education comes in because it's not intuitive. It's not recording video. It's not taking photos,
Okay.
which is again
Yeah,
not
that's
what you
really
would.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So that part took me. The co-founder that I work with, Panos, he is a PhD in mathematics, and it's really what it's doing is high-speed math. So it's doing ostensibly object recognition. It has been trained on objects that are faces. It knows that it is some sort of face, but it doesn't know who the face is because there's no biometrics collected. And it's doing trend analysis, and it does it in groups. So it's aggregating all the numbers at the source. This is probably so boring. I'm using
No, no,
math
no,
terms.
super interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I get deep into it, and I'm just talking about mathematical terminology. I swear, if you ask me, I'll get to the stuff of what's in it for me as far as your audience. But yeah, so 5 times per second, it scans all of these objects and
Okay.
aggregates it. So, you have an audience and every sensor could pick up hundreds of faces, and faster than you can blink, it's measuring the changes and the outlines of those faces, all of
Hmm.
them, and adding it up. People are buying that. I can get into the use cases if you're interested, but suffice to say, it's the only one doing something like this,
Mhm.
and then the end goal is proof of impact.
Okay. So it's, what is it measuring?
Yeah, yeah,
Signals?
there you go. So let's say there's a bunch of use cases. The most popular is probably in trade shows or activations.
Mhm.
And this is where, someone spends a lot of money, sets up a 10 by 10, has a really creative idea that's probably really cool and interesting. And then they go back at the end of it and they say, oh, well, we needed 50 badge scans. We got 49.
Mm.
So we completely failed on a single metric, right?
Right.
Badge scans. And that's how we have conversations in the event space. It's binary. And it sort of is either the binary result of this is a bad show, so they're going to pull out and they're not going to support your show anymore, or this was a bad design, let's do something totally different, another creative harebrained idea that we think will work. And what we do is we measure metrics like impressions, dwell rates, stop rates, positive sentiment that we can gauge from training on faces, thousands and thousands of faces from various groups, plus proprietary training that we've done. And it allows you to have an understanding, a deeper and more nuanced understanding. We can also do demographics as well. And it will say, well, day one, sure, it felt busy, and day two, didn't feel busy. But the reality is that day one had a lot of impressions, sure. Day two had high dwell rates and higher sentiment. So you kept people in there longer, and they had great conversations. If conversion is what you care about, these are business intelligence like leading metrics that tell you you're probably doing really well on day two. It actually wasn't bad. It was good. Day one was tire kicking. Day two was let's get a little bit more serious. If there's a third day, usually it gets even more serious. So these are things. Who do you have in there? How do you orient your booth? How do you optimize it? We do a lot of A/B testing with clients. Is a group conversation better than a one-on-one, a educational session versus an activation where it's just fun? It depends. And we can measure the sort of movement in the booths to determine if the flow is working in an optimized way. At 3-minute mark, are you keeping them there, but then you see a diminished sentiment? Well, goal number one of keeping them there was met. That's great. However, you're starting to lose them. So maybe that's the tipping point. Maybe you reorient the design of this to, sort of peter out at the 2-minute and 30-second mark. These are the kinds of detailed conversations versus good show, bad show,
Yes.
good design, bad design.
How do you A/B? Is it one event versus another, or?
That's one possibility. Yeah. Yeah. Within the booth, multiple sensors.
Okay.
It's all detective work. I mean, so our clients are the pass fail on are you a good client for us is, are you curious? Like, do you just want to know,
Right.
did we do good or not? Well, I can juice badge scans, but that's ultimately the binary thing. It's pretty stressful. You got 49, you need a 50. You got to come back and you don't have anything good to say. You could say, we learned a lot. We determined that, moving forward in the next iteration of this design, we're going to, move this here, make sure that, Sally's not there because people like, Linda better, all kinds of depth of stuff. Less so on that, but, it's,
Yeah.
I don't want to make it seem scary. It's not like Big Brother.
I feel like I'm getting kicked out of the trade show booth right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, my views on who should be in the booth are fairly radical. So no one wants to listen to me. I don't think salespeople should be in a booth. So that right there, I get thrown out. It's not a closing environment, in my opinion. It's an environment to make friends.
Yes. Yes.
Small talk good. I've told teams that are willing to hear this, look around your office, see who brings the donuts in, see who people just like, those are, at the very least, that's your front line. Like who can make a friend in 30 seconds? It's seldom sales. And maybe I'm, callous. I don't know. Closers for sure. I mean, like I like a sort of 3-step, process of guard those people with the nicest people in your organization. But
guard them.
Yeah, I mean, they're for closing. They're not for chit chat. Yeah. And chit chat's really the level one, right? It's just like it's empathy skills, like, is this place crazy? Like, how are you doing this? Like,
right.
Oh, those shoes are not comfortable enough. That kind of stuff, like, and if like a vampire, if they, if you invite them in, if they've chosen, to go further than that, then you can put them in through the process. But
right.
I like a good, like, barrier of the people that I would, want to spend time with the most, as opposed to anyone else. But, all these things are designs that you can measure in much more depth with more nuanced data. So like, that's what we provide, is this sort of level of analytics. And we have analysts on our team as well. I mean, this is all real time. No one uses it in real time, but they certainly could. It's in a dashboard they have access to. Yeah, I wish they would more, but
right?
that's like a culture shift, you know?
Yeah.
It's a big lift for us right now. Like, I could tell you the virtues of it, but you'd also have to be at your event with your eyes up and not doing a million things.
Which is hard in an event.
It is. It is. It's not like the rest of your work week or a digital marketer who's just used to just looking at
Yeah.
dashboards and making, decisions over time. This is all the
Then you would need like the resources to make on the fly changes also.
yeah.
And everyone's usually pretty tapped at an event.
It's the case oftentimes. I mean, when we can work with organizers, we can work with the exhibitors, we can work with general
Mm.
contractors, agencies, and really at any level, and there's different value propositions depending on their role, in the ecosystem. Um, Ultimately, it's just clarity over experiential designs. But in some instances, when it's a general contractor or an agency, what they're trying to do is prove the validity of the things that
Mhm.
they're doing and keep continuity with their clients. When it's the exhibitors themselves, usually it's like larger organizations who have, like, we have one client that has 150 just for their division trade shows that they exhibit at.
Wow.
Yeah, so they can iterate, like it.
Yes.
I mean, they
Right.
can, right? It's not like
Yeah.
this is the one show we do, and like let's see if we want to do the same thing next year. They're out
Yes.
next week, I mean, they're out this week.
Yeah. That's 2 a week.
So, yeah, they get to really so they'll have, multiple sections in their booth. These are, again, larger, organizations, generally speaking. Not I mean, some of the ones we have, there's one sensor for a 10 by 10 booth. You're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna basically be able to report up to your leadership with much more clarity. Hey, we didn't get the booths or the scans we needed, let's say, but we got all these impressions. That's worth something.
Mhm.
We determined that under 40 seems to like us a lot more
Hmm.
than over 40. Maybe we can tweak the messaging this way because we're trying to shift the dem. These are conversations they get to have with leadership, and it's proactive, and it's not this felt bad or we failed. So that is it's a de-stressor, I think, for a lot of them.
Mm.
They can have the same
Right.
conversations digital does, where they don't say, "How'd you do this month?" Not good.
Right. Finally,
Can
we
you?
have some data we can actually
Yeah,
talk about and dig
yeah.
into. When you first started explaining it, my initial thought was this is like an algorithm for trade shows,
It is.
and
It is, and
good or
algorithms
bad.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, the team that we have of various everywhere that runs the spectrum of young Sheldons to old Sheldons, and they're really smart people who are very math minded. Like it's very much around proving things to a decimal point, and then
Mm.
like when they explain what we do, it's so much more nuanced.
Right. Way
Uh,
in the weeds.
yeah, it is, and I watch people get kinda I try to
Yeah.
razz it up a little bit. I mean, they're factually accurate, and I've gleaned a lot of them as far as, like, what is possible and what is not possible. Because people ask us, like, "Well, I wanna know how many people are jealous in my booth or whatever. You guys read emotions,
What?
right?" And we're like, "Oh,
Okay.
slow down." It's very much like we don't wanna overpromise what we do, and we use sentiment as opposed to emotion because emotion is so nebulous and so, subjective, that if I trained one individual for an extensive training period, it's possible to get close to that,
Mm.
but if you're just doing it blind, you need an aggregate. You actually need a sample that's large enough. So, like, a stimulus happens. We deploy these in sessions as an example.
Okay.
Someone tells
Like
a
a
joke.
okay. Like
Yeah.
a talk session?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Oh,
Keynotes,
fun.
breakouts, yeah, and it
So not
allows you.
just trade show.
It isn't, that's our primary use case mostly because that's the dollars and cents, like, that's
Oh,
what's
yeah.
paying for the
Okay.
show,
Yeah. Right.
you know? Yeah, the education ends up being, like, it's a series of compromises, including pay to play to, "This is my CEO," to, "Trust us, we know what these people want," so you're up against
Yes.
someone's gut. So, but the curious ones there are like, should we have longer sessions, shorter sessions? Should they
Mm.
be sessions, is this kind of content gonna resonate well at the last session on the last day? What's after lunch look like? These are really good questions that we
Mhm.
don't get as often as, can you make sure that we get to keep our best sponsors? Like,
Mhm.
can you give
Yeah.
me the fodder I need in order to prove that their investment in our show is a great investment,
Yeah.
and it's beyond the impact of just badge scans. Like, uh, year one of someone at a show, it's going to be their worst year. And salespeople don't
Right.
want to tell them that, but you can say, "Hey, look, we're gonna get you in, and we're gonna put you in a space that we can prove will be great for impressions." And hear me out. What you want in year one an exhibitor is you want them to get to know you, and you want them to be able to
Mm.
have a sense for you, because it takes a little bit to ingratiate you into our community. And I think there's some level of that that's true. Period.
Mhm.
So I would put those people in different positions, and I would tell them to focus on these metrics as your wins primarily. And then you'll see the wins shift as they move from awareness to levels of trust as you spend more time with this community.
Mhm.
Um, that's a
Right.
different kind of sales conversation. I think that's a little bit more true.
Well, it makes total sense because once you become known to the community, um, they're way more, well, they're just known
You're,
to the community and
yeah, your numbers
they'll wanna
your
talk to you.
impressions go down, and your dwell rates and stop rates go up. The right people start talking to you, as opposed to a lot of bounce. What we see early in someone's relationship with an event as an exhibitor, activation sponsor, what have you, we see high bounce rates because they're
Mhm.
feeling you out. And a bounce rate
Mhm.
is a traditional, at this point, digital metric, but we can see bounce as it
Physical
relates to.
bounce, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Walk
It's
up, walk away.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And those are impressions, and like that's there. I call it like more tire kicking stuff. It happens a lot in day one, and that's a story, right? So like I
Mhm.
think these kinds of stories are what you get when you get a little bit more nuance to be able to sell it versus just saying, I don't know, we felt really busy. It was a great show. It's like, yeah, I want you to think it was a great show. It was a great show. But I just want to let you know, when you see your conversions suss out this year, know that next year they're gonna be better.
Mhm.
So don't judge this on a 1 year. And I think having those conversations with objective data as opposed to trust me, this works for everybody else,
Right.
it lands better.
When, yeah, well, your comment about the community rings so true. When we're doing highlight videos, nobody wants to talk to us.
That's right.
You gotta pair us with someone known by the community that knows the community, and then we're golden because they wanna talk to them, and
And they
we're
speak a
good.
different language,
Yeah.
and they're throwing acronyms out left and right. And I've been the sort of on-air person in these instances paired with video teams before at shows that I've been at perennially,
Mhm.
and I know someone they know. It's 1 degree of separation in the event space, at best. So it really does make a difference. Like, it really the trust has to be earned or maybe
Mhm.
borrowed. Borrowed's okay.
Mhm.
You bring along somebody else or something else that gives you that. But you can't skip steps, I think, in trust.
No. Yeah, it's because yeah, you just go around the room and everyone tells you no. Yep.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I've seen it. Yeah, I've done similar things. We do for our like events. We'll have a video team come with us and get like testimonials
Mhm.
and things like that. Because when you hear it from us, who are like super excited about data
Yeah.
and coming from a technology space, you're talking about vision AI and, like I said, ethical facial analysis for attendee behavior.
That sounds scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to hear it from someone like them and being like, oh no, 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 like like one of the exhibitors at the last show, they said, I wasn't allowed to have any more budget to add anything new. And, we're not on the list, right? Yet. Carpet is, trash cans,
Right.
mints. We want to get ethical facial. So she was like, I took my hanging sign down, and instead of hanging that, I used you guys to be able to prove the impact of what I do and to get more understanding of the nuances. So I was able to trade it for that. And that worked out really well for me. That I was like, I would never tell that story that way.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a great testimonial. Yeah.
yeah, so we captured that on video, and I was like, so consequently, we get video teams on us with us all the time because um, we have to have the stories told in the most
Mm.
like least mathematical way, more just
Right.
results. Like what does it feel like at the end of this? Like that storytelling.
Yeah. That's super fun. So, you were also doing an AI certification class for a while. Was
Yeah.
that before this or
It's at the same time,
okay.
I have a variety of hats, which, like, lets me empathize with everybody that I work with in the event space.
Yes.
Uh, I'm the instructor for, Association PCMA, for the last, 3.5 years, called Enhancing Events with AI. It's a course I developed with the association. I am really passionate about AI and learning about it, mostly because my entire career, uh, every time I've gone up against a wall, when it comes to pushing innovation, it's always been around lack of resources. It
Hmm.
just seems
Mhm.
like that's the perennial bad guy. Well, we would, but we only have so much time. We only have so much money. We only have so many people,
Right.
and AI in the right perspective solves a lot of this.
Mhm.
But I also am a big fan of like closing loops. So I look at AI and I'm like, all right, it causes as many problems as it solves.
Mhm.
So I really spend a lot of time and continue to spend a lot of time iterating on a methodology and frameworks that are holistic, and also are congruent with the values that we have in bringing people together.
Mhm.
And AI out of the box, AI is the use case that most people adopt it. It's all about twice as fast. It's not necessarily really great initially at twice as far,
Hmm.
greatness. Like it's average at speed. It's competent mediocrity at the snap of a finger,
Yes.
which is something. I mean,
Right.
it's not fail. Um, yeah, you can cut and paste exclusively from AI and always, I think, not fail. That's something, but it
Mhm.
doesn't get me up in the
Mm-mm.
morning, like, this is a passion-based industry. I think excellence is definitely where a lot of people are at, disproportionately, at least in aspiration. So, I have a lot of, like, frameworks and ideas and such where around, like, how to preserve the humanity in what you do,
Mm.
while also taking advantage of AI. And it's just some of it is not obvious, but then when I explain it, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I could do that."
Mhm.
As opposed to just being like just asking it how to do something and then it telling you and then you just do it. Like,
Mhm.
that positioning is out of whack in my opinion. Like, I'm the manager, like, it's the intern.
Mhm.
So I mostly utilize AI and preach a lot of AI as an engine of perspectives, as
Hmm.
opposed to exclusively how to do. Because implicit with the how to do is how to do at average, how to do that is what has been.
Mhm.
And so it's never leadership material. It's never high quality, but it's not terrible.
Mhm.
Uh, but if you ask it, like for instance, I'll go into a meeting and I'll ask AI, in a meeting like this, what do people often forget to do?
Uh-huh.
And that's not telling me how to behave in that meeting.
Right.
It's giving me a couple perspectives of things that are often neglected.
Uh-huh.
Or in experience design, I frequently do this exercise where I'll say, I have this networking event that's taking place on at the end of day one. Here's a bunch of the things that we're thinking about doing. Tell me who it would challenge and how.
Mhm.
Tell me about blind spots, because we generally at a lower capacity, which is the average, and it's pooling from the average, which is, low capacity. So it's not solving anything. It's just getting you back to where you are
Mm.
always got to in less time. Um, I want to know who is often forgotten, or when we design for the middle, who are the other ends.
Who's on
So
the yeah.
yeah. And then
Huh.
there's a lot of implications for, greater sense of belonging with increased opportunities for empathetic connection with anything that is under the banner of like DEI, which I don't know, is if the title is as exciting as it used to be. But I will say that, like, I come from hospitality. I think it's as simple as that.
Mhm.
It's just hospitality. Like, take care of everybody, but you don't take care of everybody because you're not given the tools you need to do that.
Mm.
So if we're given all these tools and we can go faster, why don't we tackle that big problem, which is not making sure, making sure
Right.
everyone
Making
is.
sure everyone's taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that the excuses sort of go away for that stuff. And I'm okay with reallocation of time if it's about the center of who we are and what we do and like what our why is.
hmm
So I talk
Super
about that
fun.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes. When you started your holistic AI comment made me think organic. But then as I was thinking about that, I was like, well, that becomes agenic or yeah, pretty quick. And then
Very quickly.
yeah.
And there are even agentic builds that are, within that framework as well. Like I think most people look at agentic builds as fully autonomous, and therefore then just getting to the middle even faster. I'm more of like I build agents where it is the output is still coming through a filter of
Mm,
me. Like my hand's still firmly on the wheel. I'm in the loop. All
right.
those things. So I don't, other than like, I don't know, as a supplier, building agents to scrape lists is a thing. That's fine.
Yes.
It's a gross part of, life, but uh, uh, in design, which is where I really like try to focus on intentional experience design,
Uh-huh.
I really just want perspectives, like I want, and I want with agentic builds, what it allows you to do instead of building, boiling the ocean to give me what I need. I have very finite training on what I consider excellence. And I'll even mark up, pieces that I've done with understandings of my own reasoning in order for it to parallel my reasoning. And
Yeah.
that's a really great way to maintain your level of control.
hmm Yeah, definitely the human in the middle and imprint yourself on it.
Yeah, yeah, it's possible, right? But I'm a big proponent, and usually when I talk about these sessions on AI, like I really drive deep into making sure that you're still in there.
hmm
There's ingredients and everything that only you would put in.
hmm
I think that right now I don't I belabor the point because I don't think anyone brings me there to hear that point. They bring me in to hear how to make my emails go faster or how to write a
Yes.
blog post instantaneously. And I'm like, okay, but like, think about the macro implications.
Yeah.
I know your head's down. It's hard to do that, but
Right. I got to get these emails out. What are you
yeah,
talking
exactly.
about?
That's fair. I want you to get those emails out, but I also want you to have a job next year where you still get to send those emails. So,
Yes.
you
Right.
know, that's what I'm trying. That's the loop
Hmm.
closing I'm trying to do of like, hey, I want you to be, caught up with everybody else, but I also don't want you to be redundant.
Yeah.
So I try to not, like go out to the event world and give everyone the tools they need to give them, get themselves out of the job and into realtor jobs. I feel like that's where they end up. Like after COVID, I have so many magnets on my fridge of
Uh-huh.
realtors who used to be event planners.
Wow.
Um,
I hadn't heard that.
yeah, it's a
It's a
grim
career path.
reminder of, yeah. I feel like that career path has enough weirdly, like has enough similarities, even though you would think it doesn't. But the work life is similar. I don't know.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the magnets to prove it. But the I can see a lot of the oh man, I'm doing everything half as fast. And if everyone is purely in logistics, and I think logistics are thrust upon us, but I don't think it has to be the end of what we do, regardless of
hmm
our contribution to events. It doesn't matter if you're in catering, doesn't matter if you're in event production. You should be doing the level above what you do in
hmm
the sort of Maslow's hierarchy. Like I want you to like think about like what's the elevated strategist version of what you do if I'm giving you a team of
hmm
robots. And and if you're not working towards that like aspirationally, then you are working towards training a system that
mm
doesn't need you.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. So like I use AI to ask it
Yes.
things to make me smarter as
Right.
opposed to instead of me to make me dumber and I
Yes.
atrophy. And those are choices, and if you're not exposed to those as possibilities, then what the world has been telling you is how to do the other, how to be fast, how to scale. And I don't know. I just want everyone I'm friends with in the event space to like have a fulfilling experience in their career and not one that is, training themselves out of their what they
Yeah.
want to do. And
No.
ultimately, like what we do is so messy that it does buffer us a little bit from the disruption. Like the
Mhm.
actual
Right.
implementation, like the boots on the ground,
Yeah.
there's no AI that's gonna, make sure that there's floor length linens or there's not kerning on the screen
Right.
for, like
Yeah.
there's so much, right? Like, and it's the good and the bad, but
Yeah. Hey, which is a great segue into if you had to choose a favorite event that you've, been to, worked on, uh, what would it be?
that's a great question. I've had to. There's a lot of events I've worked on where I've never actually been at the event.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was for years I worked in a group called Design Studio for Merit's global events, and
Okay.
what I did is I worked on the event strategy way before the planning.
Uh-huh.
So we worked on things that were like, what's the organizing principle of this event? And it would be like 4 words, and then that was like a month's
Mhm.
worth of time, and there was a 40-page document to back up why those four
Yes.
words. That kind of work. Um,
Mhm.
some of those events I never got to actually, partake in,
Mhm.
and so I'm trying to think of like World of Concrete is one of them, or um, well, I've been to National Restaurant Association show. I've been to CES. I don't know if I could be at one event that I've never been to, and I've never been to San Diego Comic Con.
Okay.
I've been to New York Comic Con, which is larger in scale as far as attendees, but the
Uh-huh.
cultural impact isn't as deep. Uh,
As San Diego?
uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's
Did
like the
not know
one that
that.
has, I think, makes that changes the culture. And then there's a one for the last couple years that is definitely on my buckets list called Fanatics Fest, which I think comes out like maybe this week. Are you
Oh,
familiar with that show?
no, but I'm definitely looking it up.
Yeah, it's Lance Fedrinson, who used to be at Reed Pop, which is a division of Reed, was in
Mhm.
charge of a New York Comic Con, amongst other shows. It's basically Comic Con for sports.
Oh,
Uh,
fun.
Yeah, they take that same energy, and it's the same kind of show like that. Huge event. It's at the Javits Center in New York, and I just know that like I'm a fanboy of that of Lance and the work that his team
Mhm.
has been able to do. So I only know it from online. I've known some people that have worked on it. They just do it all right. Like, they take risks, which you think at a scale event that isn't. They're not an association, which probably makes the risk-taking possible.
Mhm.
And it's just really cool, and it's one of those no-does, like, why over the last 20 years with the explosion of Comic-Cons has there not been like, I go to sports shows, and they're like shows used to be in the '90s, where they're in some hotel and
Right.
it's like an 8-foot table and there's like Dave Winfield signing something and you're like,
Yes.
"This could have you seen sports?" Like, they do a great job at energy,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
the
yeah.
right? Like, so, yeah, that's a show where and I get my B2B inspiration almost exclusively from B2C, um,
Mhm.
because there's no badge scans. I really think because the outcome is not transactional, and therefore the only thing that they can really do is then focus on the experience.
Mm.
They're better
Yeah.
on average. I mean, they just are.
Right.
I mean, I've been to some great dental association shows, and I get the pens and
That's fun.
the squeezy shaped teeth and
Uh-huh.
whatever, it's fine, but, like, B2C, like, they're not HBO doesn't have someone, asking you a bunch of questions of the clipboard and asking you to sign up for HBO. You sit on the
Right.
Game of Thrones throne. You you
Yeah.
you feel like you're part of it, right? Like, you have a sense of belonging with the brand, which accelerates trust and takes advantage of being there in person.
Mhm.
I am at B2B shows sometimes, and I'm like, "This could have been a website," you
Oh.
know? I
Yep.
could have just clicked on something, uh, unless there's some way to engage me in some level or something that takes advantage of the experiential, what are we doing, right? And
Mhm.
B2C especially like the larger ones, they do it naturally. They don't think about it because they're not seeing like there's no competition among how many business cards you can collect. It's like I want to make you feel good, and,
Yeah.
and and have some correlation to the brand. So my inspiration comes from those shows. I attend a lot of B2C shows for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, that's about all we got time for today.
Yeah, right on.
Any closing comments or?
No, I mean, other than like be curious, I find that like in a world with AI, the difference between curious people and not curious people are going to be the difference. If you can ask AI afterwards, yeah, but what about this? Or can I
Mhm.
take a different version of it? But like go in this direction. Show me this parallel universe where this happens.
Yeah.
The more you think like that, and then the more you think about data, the more curious you are about
Mhm.
data. Curiosity with increased capacity
Mm.
is going to be so valuable. So like I'm telling everybody, like just train yourself to ask more questions, and regardless of how you contribute to events, it's going to be the difference because there's someone answering all these questions now in the form of
Mhm.
technology, but someone has to ask them, and someone has to ask them in a way that only you would. Be a little weird in the questions that you ask. It's
Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
Like that's your stamp.
right. Yeah. Use AI to explore the curiosity
Yeah.
because you've got the expanded capacity now.
Yeah.
So you should. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, just have an insatiable curiosity because otherwise you just get the answer. And meanwhile, someone else just asked the same question and they got
Mhm.
that same answer. So what? You know, that's not exciting. What's exciting is throw in a couple words or if you have data, ask a different question than you ever asked before, set up a different scenario that you want to measure. But like, just don't be satisfied because now we can get these answers. They're not just maybes, that we can get the answers, but it
Yeah,
really relies on you to be, to have a slightly skewed or leverage your experience or your passion, but like something that is an ingredient that is unique to you.
absolutely. Well, hey, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.